Hey guys, welcome to another video. I've been working on a bunch of unfinished objects in quilting and sewing and knitting and watercolor, and I thought I would just take some time out to share some of my projects and discoveries and things that I've learned from things that I've made in the past. One really cool thing that I discovered that I thought would be really cool to share with other people is that I tried this new yarn brand. It's called Cama Yaku, Yaku/16. And it's from Scandinavia, and there's a few sellers online here in America where you can get this yarn. And it has the most beautiful colors. I was just going to show you, this is a hat I've been working on using Woolfolk yarn, which is about $20 a skein for Woolfolk Tynd. And this is the Cama Yaku, and you can see the colors are identical. And I really love this pop of yellow right through the center here. And they have this really cool trendy mustard yellow color that I thought would be really fun accent color for the horizon line in Shetland knitting, where you try to create a horizon line in the middle of your motif. And so this color here, in case you're interested, which is not in the Woolfolk line, is Senepskul, Sennepsgul. So anyways, it's a super cool color. It's called mustard yellow on the website, I think, where it's sold, if they give it a color name. And so one thing about this yarn that I found a little frustrating is that some of the skeins are really skinny, and so it's not consistently spun to the same width. And even sometimes within the same skein, it can go a little bit from thick to thin. But mostly, the biggest concern I had with this yarn is that this color, for example, was very thin, and this color was more lofty. And maybe that's because over time the yarn might start relaxing and the tightly spun winding of it is loosening up once it gets released from the belly band. I'm not really sure, but one thing I did find is that it was more difficult to tension, and you can see from this that I've got tension problems in here. And I think it's just a matter of finding the right yarn needle combination to get rid of that. The yarn elasticity, I think that's called crimp. I was on Fruity Knitting and they were using the term crimp. Some people say, I think, squishy. I don't really know all the lingo to go with how to describe yarn, but there's not a lot of stretch in this yarn, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's a little bit harder to tension for Fair Isle knitting, at least in my case. Whereas in the Woolfolk yarn, which is right here, it has some give to it. It's more stretchy, and I find that a lot easier to tension. And what I use is the Yaku premium bamboo circular needles with this yarn, because it is very slippery, and the bamboo lacquer on that brand of needles is just perfect. Not too slippery, not too much friction, just kind of like the Goldilocks combination. So I was able to knit this up in all of the Woolfolk Tynd, and I just absolutely love it. But it's $20 a skein for the Tynd, and I believe it's like $6 the last time I bought the Cama Yaku. So I know it can add up a lot making a Fair Isle hat, because sometimes these patterns call for 6 or 7 or 8 colors. If you really want a lot of colors, that can add up to the same amount of money you might spend on a sweater. And then you have a ton of leftover yarn. So what I've been trying to do is just limit my knitting to 3 colors per hat. And you can still get really amazing results. And because we go to the ocean a lot, this color palette works really well for us. So one thing I wanted to talk about is the Woolfolk Tynd a little bit more. A long time ago, they actually, when they first came out, I was lucky enough to have discovered them, and they had 6 colors of blue and 6 colors of white. And so what I did was I just bought all 6 colors of blue, and I bought, sorry, not white, and I bought all 6 colors of gray, and they don't sell that anymore. So I was able to make some really cool hats, and I'm really happy I have all this leftover yarn, because I've been wanting to get to a UFO project to finish this summer, and I'm going to take it out of its little bag, and I was thinking of doing a tutorial. And I was wondering if in the comment section, if people say they're interested, I'll chart this out and turn it into a formal pattern and put it up for free on Ravelry or something like that. But basically, this is the grayscale colors. There's all 6 of them in this hat pattern. And what I did is I just looked for charted designs from different books that I had. This is from a Debbie Bliss book. And this is, I think, from some charted design books. And basically I just used the grayscale gradient to make this hat. And I was super excited because I put a pop of blush pink in there, and I thought it was a really feminine accent to the grayscale. And I just love it. I didn't know I was going to enjoy working with these colors as much as I do. Sorry about that, I had to stop the camera really quick. So basically, and excuse my nails, they looked horrendous today, but I didn't feel like going to get them manicured. I just wanted to hurry up and make this video. So in 2020, when we were all at home, I decided that I would challenge myself to make some mittens. And these were the first pair I made, and I had no problem following the pattern. And I really love how there's the same motif on the edge, the classic Norwegian style of colorwork mittens. And I found that the easiest way to introduce myself to making my first pair. And I had some tension problems. The right side was tighter than the left side, and I don't know which one I started first. But I kind of lost my confidence when it came to the thumbs, and so I haven't done the thumbs yet. And maybe I could block this to make it a little wider to match this one, but this one actually fits me better. So I'll reference the name of the knitting pattern book that I got the pattern for in the bottom of the video tutorial. But I knit this all in Woolfolk Tynd, and it was supposed to have a stripe of red through here. And whenever I see stripe knitting in colorwork, it always reminds me of growing up in Michigan, where people would be ice skating and playing hockey a lot, and you would kind of see that striped effect in a lot of hockey socks. So for some reason, it just reminds me of hockey, where we grew up in Michigan. So anyways, I really love the way that the patterning on the thumb worked out. I just have to get the confidence to do the rest of the thumb there. So I will definitely be going back to that. That's another UFO project I wanted to share. And then over the last summer, I knit these fingerless mittens from a Shetland Island pattern book, which I'll also link to below. And I had a lot of fun with this, and I was much more confident at this time, and I was very determined to do the thumb. And so these were the first thumbs that I knitted up, and it was just a plain solid color that I decided to use, and that made it a lot easier to knit up. So I've got some really cool colorwork cuff fingerless mittens. Sorry, my watch is in the way there. I'll just put the other one on so you can see how cool this is. So super cool. The Woolfolk Tynd is so soft, and I just love these mittens. It's soft and cozy, and I didn't block them. There was a little bit of tensioning problem there where the double pointed needles joined. But you can see I did a better job on the right side than the left side. Maybe I should knit my mittens at the same time and avoid that problem. So anyways, I really love the way those turned out. Everything I knit is mostly in Woolfolk Tynd or any other Woolfolk color. This is the Woolfolk Far, I think it's called. It is the chainette construction, and I use the needles called for in the pattern, and that chainette I found just does not knit to gauge very well because it tightens up a lot. There's a lot of stretch to it. So I had to re-knit these in about a needle size that I believe was 3 sizes bigger. And oops, I've got a little hole there that needs to be seen. But basically I wanted to show you that I did find the confidence to do the thumb, and it was so easy. And I think it's sort of like steeking or free motion quilting. It's something you just tell yourself you can't do, and it's sort of more of a mental barrier than it is an actual barrier. So I did my first full pair of mittens last summer, and I never got a chance to show them. So really, really love this. Very thick yarn, much thicker than the Tynd, but it knits up really fast because of the thicker yarn, so that was kind of cool. So here's some Shetland mittens. The pattern is by Terry Laura, and you can see how beautiful the Woolfolk Tynd is. There's many different shades of blue that give you lots of possibility for Fair Isle knitting. It's kind of a shame that they only have 2 shades of blue right now, a turquoise green, a deep turquoise green, a navy blue, and then I'm using their light gray as a powder blue, but they had 6 shades of blue in the beginning, and I wish they still had them, but I have all the leftovers to make plenty more mittens like this, and all I have to do is an afterthought thumb, and these will be finished. So that was super cool. And then I've been having a lot of fun working on knitting project bags. I was looking for tutorials where you could do a drawstring bag inside of a tote bag, and I completely lost it and couldn't figure out how to do it, but I was sort of determined to find something that I could just make really easily. So I was sort of riffing off of Minki Kim's website where she would pre-quilt her fabric, and then I used the tote bag tutorial without the drawstring bag to make myself a couple of really cute project bags. This is the cutest little teddy bear fabric. I loved it so much. And there's the bear paw prints inside. And then inside here is a Memories crochet blanket that I'm working on. And this is my favorite yarn. I absolutely love it. It's for this project in particular, but overall I love using this yarn. It's Madeline Tosh Pashmina, and it's a sport weight yarn, so I haven't used it in KAL knitting. This colorway is called kawaii, which means cute in Japanese, but I think they spell it for the island Kauai in Hawaii. So I'm making these cute little crochet squares, and one day I'm going to sew them all together. They're supposed to be sewn together with every other square being white. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do that or not because it would probably cost a fortune to buy all the white all at once. The reason why I love this project is I can just buy one skein at a time and kind of knit with whatever I'm in the mood to knit with. And I'm trying to kind of go for that soft ocean, sand, sunset palette look. So that's one. And then another project bag that I worked on was this one here. And it's super cool. It just cheers me up a lot having my knitting. I always have these portable projects I'm working on. And so last year, I believe, I found this tulip pink fabric, which was this Alice in Wonderland theme. And so I have these cute little squirrels on the inside and this cute little hedgehog on the outside. And I just free motion quilted this, and then I didn't even bother to put stiff stabilizer on the inside. And it works out just fine. It's super cute and fun. And I'll link to the video tutorial I use below. And you can see these are the two colors of Woolfolk Tynd that they're still selling in blue. This is a true navy blue, and this is more of an aqua teal blue. They don't name their colors, they just give them numbers. So anyways, I'm using that with their warm white, and I just think that's a stunning color combination, so I don't really get too tired of it. So that's another project I'm working on, and I was really motivated to do this because there's a group of ladies that meet twice a week in my neighborhood to just get together and share knitting love and talk and have fun knitting together. So I got super motivated to get started on this. My goal was to get halfway done and then show up to the class and knit in the class, and I got a little overeager and finished almost the entire hat. So I'll definitely post this up on my Instagram account and my Ravelry account if anybody wants to take a look at the details for what I used to make that. Here's another UFO that I found in my stash, and I'll never finish it, but I'm super proud of it, and I'm kind of regretting that I abandoned this project, but I might be able to rescue it. The live stitches are still here if I really wanted to. This is all done with the Marie Wallen British Breeds yarn, and I would have to say out of all the rustic yarns that I've tried, this is the softest. And I did a KAL crown, and I could see that I did not pattern the colors correctly, so the beauty of the motif is sort of lost in a maze of color. But I actually like that look now a lot. I don't like everything to have high contrast. I like low contrast color palettes too. So I really regret not finishing this, but once I realized what pattern I was working on, I have enough left over of these colors to do this again, and I think I will either pick this back up or start again. I think what happened was I probably knit and I ripped out the section that was from the ribbing up to the crown. I took a How to Design Your Own KAL crown with Terry Laura. She's the granddaughter of Wilma Malcolmson, which hosted the Shetland Wool Week for 2020. And she said that a lot of times the ladies on the Shetland Islands will just swatch out the crown and do the whole crown. And then you could put it in an embroidery hoop and decorate that with ribbon around the edges, and then you could just hang it up on the wall for color inspiration. So that's one thing I could do with this. This makes me really want to go buy a whole bunch of yarn to make a full Marie Wallen sweater in this yarn. The only thing that's holding me back is the walnut cardigan is where I have my heart set, but I don't know if I have the patience to knit that back and forth in rows, and I don't really have the skills right now to convert it into knitting in the round. I think I need to just do a whole sweater first and then get really brave and try to do that. So I'm filming under a lot of sunlight, so it's really hard to tell what you can see from the camera or not from the viewfinder, but I'll just share this really quick. This is my palette, and kind of drag it across, and there's another stamp that you can work with, so you can cut out just the color. And so what I did is I painted it on both sides. I'll take one off so you can see. For example, this one is ultramarine turquoise, and I painted it on both sides, and then I just tape it to the side edge of the paint palette so I can kind of memorize the names of the watercolors. So sorry, that wasn't a very fun share, but maybe I'll take a still photo and put it in the main frame of the intro to the video so you can see how cool that is. So I really love watercoloring in the summer because it's so gosh darn hot. It's in the high 90s this week here. So I kind of knit early in the morning when it's cool, and then as it gets hotter throughout the day I'll watercolor or I'll do sewing. And this is the final thing I thought I would share, something I did in the paper crafting world that I wasn't too proud of at the time, but I was really making a lot of progress. I used a journaling die from Eileen Hull, and I used all of the bookbinding tutorials to make my own bound book to put inside of it. And I took an old vintage illustrated, color illustrated Peter and the Rabbit book, and I cut out the pages and put them in here, and then I used this as a notebook. And I just found it so cool because with the traditional traveler's notebooks, people use elastic and holes to kind of keep everything bound together. But with this trifold, I thought it made a lot more sense to use bookbinding paste. And I just precisely cut my booklet pages and folded them and aligned them, and then just used bookbinding glue and a paintbrush, and it stayed secure all this time. So super cool. I'm kind of advancing my skills in bookbinding, which is a huge passion I have. And I'll link below to a really cool gal who does this, who I follow, and she's really awesome. She has a lot of amazing tutorials. Her tutorials are mostly about sewing the edge together, and I just don't have the patience to do that right now, but I love just gluing the pages together, and I think I'm going to try to do that more often because I love making and giving journals for the holidays, for people to do planning for their holiday planning. So, and then here's another bookbinding technique that I tried that I shared earlier, where I laminated the pages, and this one wasn't laminated, but I basically just took all this old paper and cut it down to size. I think I shared it in a previous video, but I just thought I'd share this one, and I'm really excited about making a bunch of these and just using up all these papers I have and then gifting them to people. So anyways, I was a little lonely, and I thought it'd be fun to sit down and share. I've been binge watching all these video tutorials from people online, and I just kind of thought maybe I would just join in the conversation and make my own video. I hope you enjoyed the video review on the Fair Isle colorwork knitting yarns, Woolfolk Tynd versus the Cama Yaku. I did find an errant skein of Woolfolk Tynd that was extra thin, but I didn't think it affected the overall project. And it was in this hat that I've been working on. So it wasn't in all the other skeins, and I realized in hindsight I'd be able to go ahead and, you know, take it back to the yarn store once I realized what went wrong, and they probably would have returned it and gotten me another pair. I'm not really sure. Another skein rather. So these are all the same colors. You can see how rich these came out with the 6 shades of blue for a gradient look. And then this is still really rich in color, very velvety, but there was only 2 shades of blue in this one. So I thought that was a lot of fun to share. And then the midnight hat in the Cama Yaku, very similar. So if you're on a yarn budget and you don't want to spend a lot of money, I highly recommend the Cama Yaku. And if you feel like indulging and doing something extra special, this merino wool from Woolfolk Tynd is just amazing. For me, the knitting comes from the joy of handling the yarn and having that perfect yarn needle combination, and that's where all the magic begins for me, and that's what makes me really passionate about knitting. So that was the main thing I wanted to share today. I hope you guys are having a great summer. I'm not sure how often I'm going to post, but it's been so long, and I thought I would just do a video update on all my finished and unfinished projects that I found really interesting as I was working my way through my stash to figure out how I was going to get organized for my crafting this summer. I've been sort of thinking about doing a Advent mitten calendar tutorial, and I wanted to get in touch with the gal who did the pattern to see if she would give permission, but if anybody's interested in doing that, I would love to do that. There's a mitten Advent calendar on Ravelry, it's for free, and I'll link to it below. And I have a bunch of red, white, and green yarn from toku wool in a fingering weight, which I thought would be really fun to do all 24 mittens or 25, I'm not quite sure. But if people are land on this video and if you're interested, please let me know, because I would love to do a video on that, at least for one mitten, if not all 24. And we could kind of create a kind of community around Christmas knitting. I know I'm doing a little bit of a late start for the Christmas in July, but I think there's still plenty of time to do it and finish by Christmas. So let me know what your thoughts are below, and I would love to know what everybody's working on. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below, and I hope to see you guys soon. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now. Another skein, rather. So these are all the same colors. You can see how rich these came out with the 6 shades of blue for a gradient look. And then this is still really rich in color, very velvety, but there was only 2 shades of blue in this one. So I thought that was a lot of fun to share. And then the midnight hat in the Cama Rose Yaku, very similar. So if you're on a yarn budget and you don't want to spend a lot of money, I highly recommend the Cama Rose Yaku. And if you feel like indulging and doing something extra special, this merino wool from Woolfolk Tynd is just amazing. For me, the knitting comes from the joy of handling the yarn and having that perfect yarn needle combination, and that's where all the magic begins for me, and that's what makes me really passionate about knitting. So that was the main thing I wanted to share today. I hope you guys are having a great summer. I'm not sure how often I'm going to post, but it's been so long, and I thought I would just do a video update on all my finished and unfinished projects that I found really interesting as I was working my way through my stash to figure out how I was going to get organized for my crafting this summer. I've been sort of thinking about doing a Advent mitten calendar tutorial, and I wanted to get in touch with the gal who did the pattern to see if she would give permission, but if anybody's interested in doing that, I would love to do that. There's a mitten Advent calendar on Ravelry, it's for free, and I'll link to it below. And I have a bunch of red, white, and green yarn from toku wool in a fingering weight, which I thought would be really fun to do all 24 mittens or 25, I'm not quite sure. But if people are land on this video and if you're interested, please let me know, because I would love to do a video on that, at least for one mitten, if not all 24. And we could kind of create a kind of community around Christmas knitting. I know I'm doing a little bit of a late start for the Christmas in July, but I think there's still plenty of time to do it and finish by Christmas. So let me know what your thoughts are below, and I would love to know what everybody's working on. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below, and I hope to see you guys soon. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.